And welcome back to the Part-Time Otaku Podcast. My name is Grant.
My name is Dave.
If this is your first time listening, this is an anime-only podcast. This season we are covering My Hero Academia Season 5. Before we get into the show, we just want to give a shout-out to Stochastic Machine on YouTube and Instagram for the Pinky thumbnail. Again, we're going to continue repeating it.
Favorite of this season.
Big time. I've always liked Pinky. I find she just I only really look at the My Hero subreddit, but there seems to be she's one of a handful of characters of just an influx of fan art,
big time
byproduct of the waifu factor, obviously. But again, not to detract from this art, unreal art, really cool stuff.
Yeah, I think in the title for the post on this one, he had said something about it was by request of another Redditor. Okay. So I think a message has come up, but the art style on this one, I think he called it interdimensional Pinky. Whoa. And it looks interdimensional. So well done, sir.
For sure. Yes. Thank you very much. So let's jump right into the synopsis. It's an all-out brawl as the last two teams from Class A and Class B fight it out to the finish.
Good episode.
Yes, good episode. Good way to land. Good way to kind of wrap this up.
Okay, so that's it for the podcast this week.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
No, man, not a bad episode. They did do that thing that we've talked about where they spend the first 3.5 minutes recapping last week's episode.
Yeah.
Which is it is what it is. I feel like we've talked about this a lot, though. We've talked about animation quality a lot, and it makes me think things like this is what allows My Hero Academia to be so incredibly consistent.
Yeah.
And also
they're cutting the not obvious corners.
Yeah. Every now and then, they'll in other anime, it's obvious when things don't work. It's badly done CG, or it's reused frames in the middle of fights and shit like that. Mm-hmm. It seems like they just trim the fat every now and again by literally cutting out pieces of the show. Mm-hmm. I could be reading too much into it, but anyway, I didn't really care.
But you know what? I think it's interesting too, because the episodes where they do cut these corners, and like I said, it doesn't equate to a bad episode, but there's these little tricks they use. I find that is also the episodes that have just fucking weird pacing.
Yeah,
and
totally.
There's a good in the early part of this episode, I would say in the the former half. Mm-hmm. There's just there's a 5-minute segment where it's kind of it's just jumping around a little bit. And it's not incoherent, but it's I don't know. Like I said, it's also, I've noticed, it's the episodes where they do not necessarily this intro, but when they're taking these, when they're cutting these corners. Mm-hmm. But a good episode. Like I said, I think a fitting ending. It didn't have to be bombastic because last episode was that, and I think it just would have been too much back to back. But yeah. Anyways,
Aizawa lets the match keep going. We already knew that would happen. They cover that part again. But then, it's pretty much right back into that brawl. And I think the episode is called Our Brawl. So, fair enough. And it's, Midoriya is... The beginning of this episode is Midoriya seems really hesitant to use his quirk, at all. Whatsoever. Because presumably he doesn't want to risk, another incident like he just had.
Sure.
So at first I was oh no, are we just gonna get a nerfed Midoriya for the whole episode? Because Shinsho pulls his ass down.
Yeah.
I was no, do not let this weak little man and his fucking thin towels outstrength you, because you know what I mean? I was don't do this.
And it's interesting too, because even Uraraka kind of it's immediate is how is he able to do that? And then that's how they kind of set up this whole Midoriya not wanting to use the quirk. Which is kind of a bait and switch, not a very graceful one.
Weird move, but okay.
It's weird for him to say that he is, and then that's just kind of not the case.
Yeah,
it's it's talking to himself. It was an inner dialogue. It wasn't necessarily him talking. It wasn't there was a plan being laid out with everyone.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's little things, just
weird.
little things. Yeah.
However, that weird lame encounter is immediately kind of put into contrast with the pretty cool moment with Mineta and Pinky.
Oh, they had some of the best moments this episode by far.
Yeah, big time. How I feel generally speaking about the weeb that type of humor doesn't really land. Mineta has been pretty consistent with that all the way throughout the show.
Yeah, that's his archetype. You know,
Yeah. Which isn't to say I dislike it.
Sure.
But like, you know, it got a chuckle out of me this time because like he had a pretty good moment.
Great Buckler was, I don't know why it made me laugh. It just
Nah, it got me too. It got me too.
Yeah. But he has moments though, like, you know, he's one of the gang, you know, like he's not just the runt of the class. Like he like proved himself. And this is what we talked about last week. I said all Class A needed was to get up close with them.
Yep.
And then they would be able to, overpower them.
Gotta get them into range.
And that's exactly what happened. Like Pinky and Grape just went wild on them.
I love that he called it Grape Pinky combo. It made
when
me
she
think,
throws them.
Yeah, when she throws them, it made me think of like an Avengers move, like Hawkeye shooting Ant-Man on an arrow.
Yeah.
I feel like someone should like screen cap that frame of Mineta saying that, and then like it's like that meme. It's like, you know, the Avengers is supposed to be the most ambitious crossover event in cinematic history. It's like, but unless.
Have you seen Great Pinky Combo?
Yeah. But that was a good moment. Did you think Copy was gonna succeed in copying One for All for a sec?
So I can't believe we didn't think of this as like being an issue in this episode.
Dude,
I don't
right
think you and I. Yeah. Completely low hanging fruit. Completely walked right by it.
His whole quirk is like they keep showing his name on screen.
Copy.
And the whole last episode, they're talking about how he can copy quirks.
Oh yeah. And this is a reminder
never
too,
occurred to us.
Because you and I had also said, like, have we seen this guy in action before? I completely forgot he was like he was fucking with Bakugo in the sports event.
Season 2, right?
Yeah, I had completely forgotten that. I knew he was there, but I didn't recall him using his quirk. So seeing that, it was like, oh, duh. Like, this guy is the real deal. Like, we have seen him, you know, he's not just talk. So that kind of backs it up more, like, what we've seen this season from him. Because Midoriya is scared the second he sees that.
Well, he's scared because he flashes back to season 1 when All Might tells him, like, if your body can't handle it, it's just going to rip you apart.
Yeah.
So I think he was worried about Copy injuring himself there. But it's funny, it just failed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming because the quirk has some kind of failsafe, or, like, it doesn't allow...
So
like, is that how did you interpret that?
Well, so this is probably like this is the weird pacing thing I was talking about of the episode is it feels like all three of them are saying something different. Like Midoriya is worried about the quirk, so he's like kind of having his, or he's trying to talk to is it Monoma or Phantom Thief, and so he's using, but there's a point where it was a blank, or he says it was a blank when it doesn't work off. And then Uraraka says something. It was a trick, or it was a
bluff. Yeah,
it was a bluff. But it's like, how do you know that?
How do you know it was a bluff? Like he had like the animation, but then also Copy said it was a blank. So I don't know. That was weird.
But I think he said it was a blank when he went to use it and it didn't work.
Yeah. So I don't know how she could have known that before him.
So you know what I mean. So Midoriya is just kind of like the odd one out. Uraraka seems to know more than she does, and then also like I don't know. It was weird, but like I can't believe it went over our heads like that, as if we hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous of us. But yeah, we missed it. But I mean, so did Copy. It didn't work. So if it had worked, it would have had like probably significant consequences on the whole show.
Could you imagine they just iced him on the show like that? Like
he goes to like punch Midoriya and he just breaks his whole arm and he's permanently disabled. His new arc is like being upset from a wheelchair because he's permanently it's too dark. But yeah, so that fails, and Midoriya fucks off and he goes to fight Shinsho, and then Shinsho has yet another flashback. I don't know, was this show as flashback heavy like before season 5? Like right before people are about to fight, do they flashback to their previous fights?
I don't think so. I think like in a major event they do like a quick like recap of just some context like in a major situation, but
yeah,
like
that is kind of an anime-ism, isn't it? Like before there's a pivotal moment, they're like, audience, by the way, here are my motivations.
Well, it's just, I wonder if it's just the creators of the show know how like voracious anime fans are, and there's just so much content is being watched, and there's so much in a season. There's so much, and that's the thing. Like,
this was episode 99.
Oh,
of the whole series.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it made me think, like, you know, I don't blame us for forgetting that Copy was in season 2. There's been 99 episodes of this sucker.
Yeah, wow.
And I feel like, and I might be wrong here, but I feel like, you know, they might take more than a year off between seasons, just at the pace that anime goes. Maybe I'm wrong. We could probably look it up at some point, but it takes a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, so Shinsho and Midoriya get at it, and Shinsho drops the pipes on Midoriya. Didn't he do that exact same thing in his first match? Like to the Beast guy? The Beast Titan that he was fighting?
Yeah, he dropped the pipes down on him, then Froppy, like, threw the Class B guy at him. So it was kind of like one fluid mode. I think kind of all happened at one time kind of thing. But yeah, that is what he did. I guess, you know, you're fighting in a foundry.
Good point. Fighting in a foundry.
Yeah, there's pipes to be pulled down.
Fuck, I put that on a t-shirt. Anyway, how cool is the Black Whip moment?
It's not.
Okay, let's get into it here. Okay?
It's lame, man. This is
no. It's okay. So
I have some. I do have.
I
some
already
problems
know
because
because we need to argue more. I'm realizing this. We never argue about. Cause we're always on the same page. It has to make for good programming, right? You can't just be two guys agreeing with each other all the time. But I already bet that we agree on what the problem is here.
Okay.
I think it's cool that he used Black Whip, and then the fact that they retcon this new power seconds later.
It's fucking ridiculous.
They're like, hey, let's spend the most pivotal moment of the whole season explaining how One for All works and how it's going to evolve over time, to then have Midoriya use it once before realizing he cannot ever use it, or he can't use it for, like, a huge amount of time. Like, think about it. 99 episodes, and he's supposedly at 20%, and he tells them, and he says to himself, oh, I won't be able to use it until I have it fully under my control? What?
Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is, Dave?
What?
Retroactive blue balls.
Yeah, retroactive.
Like, you know, it's crazy, man. Like, I understand this show has legs, and I understand the goal is longevity, and not even in the story itself, but like the medium of anime. I understand that, but it's like, fucking come on. Yeah. Like, unless they're gonna have a power upgrade in like 15 episodes, if by the end of season 5 he doesn't have a significant power upgrade where he's
what are we
able, you know, I don't know. It just seemed like, you know, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, okay. So we're right on the same fucking page, right? Like, because I thought it was cool. He caught it, and I was like, oh, look, like, it's showing. Because there's this whole, you know, like, typical My Hero, typical anime trope moment of, like, you know, showing this from an outsider's perspective, right? It's like All Might is, like, monologuing on top of the scene.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, like, you know, you seem like a different person. You're so confident now. And then Midoriya whips out the Black Whip and catches these pipes, and it's like cinematic, and he's talking about how much he's grown. I think Midoriya is talking about his, like, origin story.
Yeah.
Right before this happens. And then it fails. And then it's like, oh, okay, no, we're back to where we were.
To play, like, you know, to have some variety, some devil's advocate of the situation, I understand the significance of last episode for him. You know, we find out all the stuff with the vestiges. He gets the Black Whip. I understand we've now opened, like, the grand scope and the grand scene of what is to come.
The roadmap. That's nice.
The roadmap. You know, it is nice, but this was the most clumsy, undelicate way of revealing it and then just immediately pulling it back. It's just, I do see both sides of it, but I'm just more emotionally invested into the side that thinks it's bullshit. And, you know, like, and this, you know, this might be for naught. We might be like a few episodes down the road, and like I said, he does get that power upgrade, or he learns to, like, dumb it down. But just the idea that One for All has jacked up this ability and he can't use it at his level seems kind of...
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, because a lot of the times in these shows we don't mistake it, but a lot of the time, like, power development is synonymous or there's a causality or relationship with character development. You know what I mean? Like, think about how far Midoriya has come. And a lot of the time, his maturity is, like, in step with how much control he has over the quirk.
Yeah.
And it just felt like he's come pretty far, and it would make sense for him to have a bit of a win here. And it just, you know, for it to kind of go in step with the whole quirk, I don't know. But, you know, whatever. Like you said, this may end up paying dividends sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll make sense by the end of the season. I'll tell you, it better.
Oh,
Because otherwise, to go out like this, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And so the other thing too is I don't understand like the percentile. Like, I know it's all made up numbers like in this scenario, but the ape I can, because he says, like, because Air Force is his finger flicking move, correct?
Yeah.
I didn't think that would, because he's like, I can't use that because I can't control my ability, but then he can still activate One for All and leap and fight and do all this other stuff. It's just, there's not enough clarity around his abilities.
Yeah, this is the problem you get, you know, when you get these really long in the tooth, like very power-centric focused shows.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember how problematic Dragon Ball Z got towards the end?
Yeah.
Like, the end of the Buu saga, they were like, oh, Buu is... Buu killed these grand Kais, and they were each 1,000 times stronger than Frieza. And it's like 1,000 times. What?
Yeah.
Like power scaling. It's a fucking mess.
Yeah.
This is obviously not that bad, but like, yeah,
because it's a singular character, so it's a little more. It's not like a big scale thing. But no, I do agree.
I think he figured out. It wasn't like Shuto style. It was something he figured out in early season, maybe 2 or 3, probably 2, a way to become really mobile as he was like getting better. And it was like,
well, that was the shoot style. That's him using his feet.
Yeah, so
he's moving. He's fighting as he's moving.
I could have swore that was around the time he got to the 8% mark, because supposedly by the end of season 4 he had about 20, but now he doesn't want to use 20. He wants to use 8.
So do you think now this is going to be a crux for him going forward? He's not going to be able to like
it better
fully
not
unload?
Be. It better not be.
Is he going to be sitting out fights?
I hope not. I think it's just a brief moment of PTSD. Like, he doesn't want to push it because he's probably already injured and wants to be extra careful. I wasn't quite sure, now I think I am, why he made Uraruka make him weightless. But I guess that's just so he could be even more mobile while limiting One for All. Does that make sense?
I think so. But are you really using that much strength, like, to kick off the ground?
Yeah, I don't know.
Again, in the rules of the world, like, it's I don't know.
What? Yeah, weird.
Until this moment, I wasn't aware how much, like you said, how much of a power problem there was with his character.
Yeah, because it's not a problem until you make it a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you keep throwing out like percentages that he's at. Like, well, I don't even know why we needed that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure maybe there might have been a better way, or maybe not, but maybe it's possible there would have been a more effective way to communicate how far along he was on his journey, better than like a percentage. Because now, like, when you regress, it just is confusing. But whatever. I like that he doesn't hesitate too long. We don't spend too long on this crappy moment, and he just engages on Shinsho.
Yeah.
And then I thought that I was glad that Uraruka got more moments.
Yes.
In this episode,
she had a great episode.
Yeah. There was some fun mental warfare there. His character was reliable at doing that. He did it all last episode.
Yeah.
And again this time, but I like that she got pretty much a solo capture on him, because she like submitted him or brought his ass down and then put him in the cage, and he's talking trash the whole time. But that was good.
Yeah, I did not expect the
twin impact.
Yeah, because that's the thing too. Like, it was funny because they were bringing up was Midoriya's, like, what Midoriya had done was that a bluff. That was a bluff, and they had kept bringing up bluffs, and then it ended up being Phantom Thief with the bluff at the end of like, no, I actually have 4. Four moves, like, kind of in the chamber kind of thing. So I thought that was cool, and kind of like a fitting, and his whole thing about the, a key player in someone else's story or all that. Like, it's so melodramatic.
It's so anime, eh? Like,
Yeah.
there must be a term for that, like anime isms. We should put out like a rule book of all of them.
Yeah.
Like characters monologuing about their intentions and just like giving you like exposition
As they're losing.
Yeah.
As they're in a position to defeat.
or right before they finally do something, they're like, I'm gonna go do this thing, but before I do, allow me to tell you why. And like why it aligns itself with my goals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. It's just kind of funny. It was very anime moment.
Yeah.
But like I didn't see that coming, and I was so
No.
pissed. I was like, yo, if that like knocks Midoriya out cold, I'm gonna lose it.
And that was the thing too. I didn't think he had hit Midoriya. I thought like Midoriya kind of moved his head out of the way. So that was kind of surprising to see. He did get it like a small tap, or that's all he was trying to do, was just get it like a little tap on him, and then Twin Impact would take care of the rest later.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, that shows how powerful that move is. Godbod, is that what that guy calls himself later?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
That is pretty funny.
but no. So when when Uraraka puts him away, she has that good moment of clarity of like, no, like Midoriya can handle his thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna go wreck some shit.
Maturity
And-
moment too.
Yeah, big time.
Two in a row for her. She saved
Yes.
his ass previous episode, and this time, she we see these characters do these things a lot of the time, right? Especially in earlier seasons, they rush. They don't think. They just move.
Mm-hmm.
And like this was a really good example of having a level head, sticking to the plan. She's like, he's a big boy. He'll be fine. I gotta go help the other two.
Yep.
And then what happens after that? Shinsho engages Midoriya as he's like kind of falling backwards because he got rocked by Twin Impact.
Which leads to probably like one of the two best animation moments in the episode, when Midoriya kind of, just like as Midoriya's falling and Shinsho's going in for the strike, and Midoriya's like, overcomes the wound of like, no, like I'm going to win. And he just blasts off from the wall and kind of the spin move he does. Like they give him some pretty slick animation. Even too when he caught up to Shinsho, just him like rocketing after him. Even Shinsho was like, oh, like he is fast.
He's going to catch me.
Yeah. And, and Midoriya just put him down. Like, and just kind of like the animation of, it was almost like Midoriya and Shinsho landed on us as the camera, like as the viewer.
Yeah, we were kind of on the floor.
We were on the floor, and so we kind of see them coming down. That was really cool. There's like a good stretch, because like right after this, he takes him out, and then it cuts to Pinky and Minata, kind of, they're feeling the pressure. They're not in a great position. And Uraraka just comes and starts smashing heads. Mm-hmm. Like 1, 2, down, and then Pinky kind of erupting from like her acid pool.
Yeah, that was a cool moment.
Was really
slick animation too. Yeah.
And there you go, Class A, boom,
boom, boom, boom.
And
funny, like big teamwork ending. Frankly, I know it was only 2 episodes, and we talked a lot about this particular matchup and how long it would take and all that stuff. But I think in this arc, we also mentioned like reversals and counters a lot.
Yeah.
I really thought for a sec there that Class B was going to have one more thing up their sleeve.
Yeah.
But no, Class A really came together, shut everybody down pretty quick, pretty handily.
Well, it's a good companion episode to the Bakugo fight, because that was Class B's problem then as well.
Yep.
Because they were too focused on the powerhouse, and they didn't take full consideration into the rest of the team, who are all equally as deadly. Like Bakugo and Midoriya are obviously like a step, not above, but like they're very fast.
Them
but they're
and
also
Todoroki, right?
Yeah, the three of them are very like fast and aggressive, physical, combatants. So, like I said, it's a good companion piece to that episode too, and that was their downfall again. Mind you, Midoriya probably kind of put them back on their shoes a little bit, on their heels, just with that display. But good episode. Like, it was a good way of rounding up this arc of, kind of just seeing the four of them. It was like a still shot. Midoriya's holding Mineta, and Pinky's like doing like a pose, and Uraraka's like throwing up the peace sign. It was a fitting end. I
just realized this was episode 11. I wonder, I can't remember. I know we looked it up at one point, but are there only 12? And is this a part 1 and 2 thing?
I'm not sure. sure. I would be. There's no way this is just 12 episodes. Like they might break it up, but
like, I mean, no, I don't think the whole season's 12. But
No.
it wouldn't be crazy if they did a significant break between part 1 and 2, and if next week could maybe be the end.
That's the going thing right now. Like not a full year, but like because a show like this,
6 to 8 months.
Yeah, it'll be within the same year.
But anyway, who knows? We'll see. We'll obviously be here no matter what. That ending ends up being not super tight. You know, final score is 3 wins for Class A, 1 loss, 1 tie. I think Aizawa more or less says that Shinsho passes and he can enter the hero course. He doesn't like say that in a sentence, but he says you earned a passing grade.
Yeah. Very reminiscent of Midoriya.
Yeah, just barely made it.
But he got in for something else. It wasn't for points on the... Well, it was. It ended up being like 1,000 points for saving someone or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. But, so that was the other thing I had forgot to mention. When Shinsho... There's a moment... Shinsho has a flashback. Or I think it's right as Midoriya kind of like gets him on the ground. Before it cuts to Mineta and Pinky at the end there. I believe he has a flashback and it shows like how forward moving, and it literally only show, with the exception of Tetsu, it's all Class 1A people showing off their big moments this season.
Oh yeah.
So I'm wondering if that was just them queuing up the win for Class A, showing like that, you know, Class A was going to win this tournament, or, you know, this exhibition, or was that a way of him joining Class 1A? That was like a tease to him being a new member of the class.
That'd be cool.
You know, because like he's passed.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
They've set the significance and the competition and like the friendly rivalry between him and Midoriya. The argument could be made he could be in either class, but like I think he's a good character. Like, you know, he's trained by Aizawa, and maybe that could be also the reason too. They put him in Class B to keep him separate. You know, or I don't know. I would like to see more of him. I think he should be in Class 1A. That's just my opinion. But
I'm down with that. I'd be down with bringing him around. I mean, this show has so many friggin' characters, right? But like, you know, they proved another thing. You know, the same thing that they've proved a million times with the show, which is like they can pretty much give screen time to whoever they want and find a way to make that character shine.
Yeah.
And Shinsho was no exception. So yeah, that was fun watching him. I'd be down to see more of him. I think that's about it for this episode.
That is it.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. This comes out same time every week, and if you haven't already, check out the post show. It comes out a day or two after these episodes, and it's a much more laid back, you know, version of the podcast. We're talking about different stuff we watch, like Jujutsu Kaisen. We're probably going to get into, you know, movies, stuff like that. Yeah, that's all I can really think of. Thank you so much for listening.
See you next week.
Cheers.